receive. Do I have a witness in here? And I know somebody in here in greater this morning is glad that it was just that simple. That the Lord picked you up and He turns you around. I need you to get happy and tell your neighbor, say, neighbor, it is just that simple. I don't know about you, it does not take complexity to save a man. It does not matter where pedigree he's from. But I wonder, do I got a witness in here that can testify that Jesus will save you just where you are? I'm about to get happy in here, but I wonder if there's anybody here that's glad that the Lord saved you. I'll tell you, you don't have to see no stars shoot. You don't have to see no lightning come across the sky. But I wonder if there's anybody here that can testify to somebody in the room. It was just that simple. I came to Jesus just as I was. Help me, greater. Weary, wounded, and sad. But I tell you what I found in Him. I wonder if there's anybody here found a resting place. And when you did, maybe you can tell your neighbor, say, neighbor, He's made me glad. Oh, I don't know about you, but I'm glad the Lord picked me up. Oh, yeah, come on, help me preach a minute. Is there anybody here that can testify in this room that the Lord can pick you up? Oh, I wish I had some help in here. I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm a living witness. How about you tell your neighbor, say, neighbor, the Lord picked me up. Do I have any help in here? Oh, my brothers and sisters, it's just that simple. In order to bring this point home, first of all, there was a story told about a Indian chief. And there was a revival meeting. Y'all help me greater. And what happened was this particular Indian chief began to hear the preaching of the gospel. What he did was he came there that particular night and he heard the preacher say, come ye that love the Lord, and let your joy be known. What he did was when the preacher opened the door of the church, the Indian chief came with his bow and arrow and said, me chief, give my bow and arrow to Jesus. The revivalist said, that's not good enough. But when you turn to your neighbor and say, the next night of the revival, the Indian chief came back. But this time he brought his pinto pony. And when the preacher got through preaching, he opened the doors of the church. And the chief came with his pinto pony. And he said, me chief, give my pinto pony to Jesus. The revivalist looked at him and said, that's not good enough. With tears in his eyes, he left and looked at your neighbor and said, the next night. The next night, he brought his blanket. And he came at the doors of the church. And he said, me chief, give my blanket to Jesus. The revivalist said, that's not good enough. When you look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, that's not good enough. But here's what happened on the last night of the revival. I'm about to feel like preaching in here. The chief came to the back of the tent. He didn't have no bow and arrow. He didn't have his pinto pony. He didn't have his blanket. But when the preacher opened the doors of the church, and I need to stop right here. Is there anybody here that's glad that the preacher opened the doors of the church for you? Here's what happened when he opened the doors of the church. The Indian chief came with tears in his eyes. He came down to the evangelist and said to him, me chief, give myself to Jesus. I want to do I have a witness in here. I want to tell you about somebody. I'm just a nobody telling all y'all about somebody that can save anybody. Will you do me a favor? Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, he can save you. My brothers and my sisters, notice what he said. He said, for God, I feel like so loved the world. Oh, you shouldn't have made that. I got happy now. Let me stop and take it apart. It says, for God. Let me stop right there. Is there anybody here know anything about God? When I talk about him, I'm talking about him who took some ice and rolled it together, threw it upon a darkness, and called it the moon. I'm talking about that God. When I talk about God, When I talk about God, I'm talking about how he hung the stars like celestial daffodils. Preach, Freeman, I think I will. And call them stars. I'm talking about that God. I wish I had a witness in here. What this God did, he reached into a chaotic condition and brought about a cosmos. Notice what he said, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. Look at somebody and say, neighbor, that's what my God did. Oh yeah, I'm talking about the God that rules and super rules. I want to do and have a witness in here. I'm talking about the God that Big Mama used to talk about. He said, you can't have it, God. I wish I come and help me preach here. You just gotta wait. And I wonder if anybody in Greener that can tell somebody it's something about waiting on the Lord. You gotta trust him. I feel like it in here. And give him time. Because he is a God. I wish I come and help me preach. He's a God you can't hurry. He may not come when you want him, but he's always. Can I get you to tell your neighbor he's always on time. He said, for God, come on here, so loved the world. Now there's a difference between loving and so loving. There's a difference between being fat and so fat. There's a difference between being skinny and so skinny. There's a difference between being pretty and so pretty. There's a difference between being ugly and so ugly. There's a difference between loving and so loving. I don't want to help me push up in here. For God is so loved the world. Oh, I don't know how you feel about it, but is anybody here that's glad for the love of God? For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. I wish I had a witness in here. What the Lord did was he took from himself. The Bible says the Son of God. I wish y'all help me greater. Became a Son of Man. That we might become sons of the living God. Will you touch your neighbor and say, neighbor, he did that for me. Oh yeah, you need to tell him, get happy and say, neighbor, I have to let you know he did it for me. Oh yeah, he did it. Somebody here know he did it. Oh yeah, I wish I could get somebody to get happy in here and tell your neighbor, say, neighbor, oh, he did it. He did it for me. One more thing, y'all, he said, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. And that's what I'm telling y'all via the internet, that he gave his only begotten Son. That whosoever, it doesn't matter what you are, it doesn't matter that you own a substance, it does not matter. You say, Reverend, I can't put the pipe down, but I got some folk in Brooklyn that can tell you that Jesus breaks. I feel like it in here every Saturday. And just look at somebody and say, neighbor, he can set you free. Is there anybody here believes that the Lord can set you free? Oh, I'm about to feel happy. Whom the Son sets free. Oh, look at somebody, tell them, say, neighbor, I'm free indeed. Oh, it does not matter the habit of the habit, but how many of you know can tell Jesus is a habit breaker? Oh, yeah, he's a habit breaker. Tell your neighbor, say, neighbor, he is a habit breaker. My brothers and my sisters, I want to tell you via the internet that he can break every habit. He can break every hobby. Oh, you can't stop looking at pornography. If you meet Jesus, he'll make you stop looking at it. Oh, look at somebody and say, neighbor. Oh, yes, look at him and say, neighbor, the Lord can do it. Oh, tell your neighbor for me, say,